Huawei, make it possible.
Welcome, everybody. Today we are going to have a very special guest, Rodrigo González Lozano. He actually is the Huawei Cloud Partner Ecosystem Director. He is located in Lima, in Peru, and he had multiple activities related with digital transformation. So that's why it's so important to have this conversation with him. In his activities right now, he led the channel managers team in charge of the strategic partners of Huawei Cloud in Peru. Also, he is responsible for the consumption of around 5.4 million US dollars of revenue of the country. Is responsible for the growth of around 2.1 million US dollars of revenue from cloud partners. So Rodrigo also had the opportunity to develop partners and recruit partners for the ecosystem. On the other hand, he has the relationship at a CEO level with each partner in the country. So he is developing a very serious role in the Huawei ecosystem. Rodrigo also had some background in Microsoft and other companies of the digital transformation sector. For sure, a conversation with him talking specifically about this kind of ecosystem, how it's changing the world, it's gonna be a great asset for all of you. Thanks again. If you could share us a little bit, we know what you are doing right now. However, for us, it's so important that you could share us about your educational background and even what was the first or the main reason that you take the journey in the digital transformation ecosystem with the different jobs that you have been had in the last years. So welcome again, Rodrigo, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernando, for this wonderful opportunity. Actually, I'm thrilled that we are talking about digital transformation paths. And regarding your question, my background education started 14 years ago when I started studying industrial engineer at Universidad de Lima. I'm actually Peruvian. I live in Peru. I'm based in Lima, Peru. And I decided to study industrial engineering because of what I considered I was good at, what I was going to be studying during the 5 years here in Peru. It's 5 years, the pre-grad, and what I was going to be working on with my expertise of industrial engineering. So regarding those three factors, I chose industrial engineering because I really liked and I was really good at math and all the sciences. I checked all the curricula of the industrial engineering in a lot of universities in the nation. And I talked to a lot of industrial engineers. I talked to a lot of the deans of the universities. And industrial engineering was the clear path for me because it gave me a big perspective of what I could do with all the knowledge that I would be gathering through the 5 years of my university career. So with industrial engineering, I was always investigating. I was always studying about technology. At the time, a lot of my friends wanted to work for IBM. A lot of my friends wanted to work for Microsoft. And I started to investigate a lot about some of the authors and some of our pioneers of our era, like Elon Musk, like of course Bill Gates, like of course the two founders of Google. And I realized that technology was going to be the great hit of these last few years, especially the data and cloud computing. So I started working in Ernst & Young when in consulting. During that year, it wasn't my first job, it was my entry-level job, but I started realizing that a lot of the projects, a lot of the consulting projects were towards the technology, were leaning on how the technology would impact on their core business of the main industries and the larger companies here in the nation. So through that, I came to realize that I needed to study a little bit more about the cloud fundamentals. So that is why I joined and I went and I dived into the technology industry.
Yeah, well, it's a great perspective that you had the chance to analyze this decision. In fact, well, I'm also industrial engineer, and for sure one of the top, I would say, challenges that we have as industrial engineers is to make improvements in the processes, in the current business strategies that the organizations used to have. And for sure, technology, especially when we are talking about digital transformation, is a big disruptive uh, concept that for sure is so aligned with what we looking for as industrial engineers. And considering that Peru is mainly a mining country, and there
Mm-hmm.
are plenty of development in mining industry in different sectors, uh, do you think that the background and even the relationship that you have been developed with your customers in the different positions that you have been had, do you think was a, let's say, uh, uh, a value, an added value that you provided to them? So anything that you want to share about it?
Yes, thank you, Fernando. So, of course, it's well known that we, Peru, we're a mining country, excuse me,
Mm.
we are also driven through tourism and gastronomic tourism, actually. So, we have a very, very good cuisine. So, those are the main drivers of the economy here in Peru. And being an industrial engineering and actually understanding the processes that are involved in mining companies, in industrial companies, and all the industries that are uh, closest to the mining, I could be a better consultant. I could be a better advisor with technology to
Mhm.
automatize, to make more efficient the processes in mining or in manufacturing, because
Absolutely.
it's a unique thing that having technology can impact a company with making the processes cheaper and making the processes with less time. So
Mhm.
it's not like a transactional commercial process. It's to understand what is the main issues, what is the main pain points of a company, and um, how we can match the technology that we have. So, for example, let's say cloud computing. Now that I have been working with cloud business for the past 5 to 6 years,
Mm.
um, how can we insert? How can we match a, a artificial intelligence or RPA, automatized process, automated robotic process
Mhm.
into the current process of a mining company? How can we do the match in order to add value to the company? So it's not something that they need and you can have it on the shelf and just
Mhm.
sell it to them. It's something that you need to understand the process, how it's
Absolutely.
done in the first scenario, how you can match this technology to their needs, and how it's going to be the final result. So um, being able to understand my customers' processes really helped me to make a better fit between technology and the customer needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And even, for example, one of your previous position was in Easy Taxi, and you have been
Yes.
working as city manager in Trujillo, if I'm not wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess you had the chance to make this kind of link about what you were talking. So anything that you want to share about the implementation of the model of Easy Taxi? Uh,
Yes. Yes, Fernando. So Easy Taxi was a Brazilian startup. So
mhm.
before Uber came into Peru, it was Easy Taxi, the first taxi app that got into the market. After a couple of years, it got absorbed by Cabify. And what we did, well, I actually got the chance to meet the founder of Easy Taxi.
Okay.
And just so we are clear, Trujillo is probably the second or the third largest city in the nation, and it has a specific characteristic that is a little bit different than other cities regarding the security aspect of the environment. So you were talking about a taxi app in a city that is pretty well known of other issues with taxi companies in the city. So I had to understand what the customers needed right there. That was obviously security. They wanted to feel that they are safe when they are traveling in a taxi within the city. Fast answers, because before, like 10 years ago, we only took a taxi cab on the streets by raising our hands. After that, we had to call on the phone. But it was the first time that we were going to be using our cell phones, our smartphones, to be calling for a taxi, to be asking for a taxi. So I had to do a lot of evangelization. I had to teach the taxi drivers. I had to teach the market, and I had to make sure that they understood that it was the safest way to ask for a taxi, and it was the fastest way to ask for a taxi. So I had to align, I had to match, I had to make the perfect fit for the market to understand that, and to provide the best technology solution that it was at the moment an emerging technology solution, a taxi app.
Yes.
Nowadays it's pretty familiar. Like now we have like 3 or 4 taxi apps in our cell phones. I was in Mexico last month and I used 2 to 3 different apps because I was in Monterrey and I was in Ciudad de Mexico. And it's pretty a daily basis activity for us. But 10 to 11 years ago, it was super hard. I had to talk and I had to convince the taxi companies that this was the best way to go. Like, to be honest, I went to the number 1, number 2, and number 3 companies in the city, and the first one didn't want to go with us, so they developed their own application, and the number 2 and the number 3 accepted, and we started working with us, because with that way I could show the market that we were a safe app, because hey, we're working with the most respected taxi companies in the city, so you could believe in us. But the first one actually developed their own application, but after a couple of years it didn't work out. So it was a clear example of what could happen if you don't take advantage of technology and if you don't understand what are the technology trends at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And for sure was a kind of, let's say, a beginning of a completely new business model, as you mentioned. So this kind of experience, then you had the opportunity to work in Ernest and Young, like almost 4 years as advisory consultant. So we were talking about the main industries in Peru and how the different approaches from the digital transformation perspective are changing the business models. But something that you consider that was a big asset in your career during this time in
Yes,
EY?
yes, Fernando. So in EY, it was one of my main goals as an industrial engineer, because what we did and what EY does and what a lot of the big consulting firms, and EY is one of the big 4 consulting firms, uh, it's to optimize processes
Mhm.
within consulting studies. So I really wanted to be involved, and I really wanted to be a part of that kind of school, because actually I was talking to one of the directors there a couple of years ago, and he asked me, "Do you know what we do?" And I replied, "We're a consulting firm." And he told me, "Well, yes, but we are a school. We are a school who are uh, preparing professionals, who are preparing consulting advisors to the market." So I understood that I had the opportunity to be taught by one of the most prepared and talented advisors in the nation. So one of the main assets is that I learned how to be organized, structured, and how to understand my customer needs, how to understand the whole industry of that customer, of that specific company, how to analyze and how to study the whole environment to be able to not only identify the pain points of a company, of my customer, but also what is the trend of the industry, what is the industry heading towards too, so I can be one or two steps forward, and in that way I could advise and I could help my customer in a better way.
Mhm.
So actually it was in EY where I fell in love a little bit more in the technology and the cloud computing. Back at the moment,
Mhm.
we used to talk about data mining. Now we talk about big data. Now
Mhm.
we talk about data analytics. And back at the moment, data analytics was something super new, something that maybe a few people knew, but now it's like it's not a should, it's probably a
It's a
must
must.
that
Yeah.
all professionals must know. And like probably 20 years ago, if you knew Microsoft Excel, if you knew uh, Microsoft Word, it was something new. But now it's a must. It's something that you, I don't know, if you want to be successful. Uh, Power BI and now also data analytics is something that you must know in order to be successful at your job position. So in all the projects of technology, I understood that the next big thing, it was going to be cloud computing. It was going to be what technology will bring us in the future.
Yeah, and you had the opportunity to go deeper in this field when you started working in Certica as Google Cloud Account Manager. So I believe that the opportunity that you have in EY provides you a different way to see this specific business. And for sure, I will say that at that time maybe it was, as you mentioned, not so popular. So how do you start working on this specific field, and any sharing that you wanna talk about it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Fernando. So at that moment, it was something new, probably something strange, and
Yes.
something that what everything new brings is uh, the uncertainty. And to
Mhm.
some professionals and to some people, this uncertainty means that it's going to bring fear to their job positions. So it was a sensitive thing for us as technology professionals to talk to companies, to talk to
Mhm.
IT professionals. This new thing is going to make your job easier, more efficient, faster, but it's not going to replace you. It's going to help you. It's going to make you look better at your own company. It's going to put you on the spotlight. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So a lot of the experiences that I had was regarding that the companies obviously didn't hear about it before, or if they heard about it, they have a lot of prejudgment ideas. And when they already got the idea, there were a lot of stakeholders, and there were a lot of key players and key characters in the company that still didn't enough buy the idea. So these three scenarios were a day-to-day situations for me. Like, for example, when they didn't know about it, we had to teach. We had to teach not only the technology, the CTO, the CIO, but also the business, the core areas. That this was going to make your processes go faster, go more efficient. That you didn't need to use the email tool for everything. That you had a lot of other tools for your availability that you could take advantage of. So, for example, this company is from the manufacturing industry. Actually, I'm not gonna mention the name of the company, but it's a big company. It's a big player here in Peru, and they use Google Cloud, specifically the at the moment it was called G Suite. It's the Google Workspace. They had the collaboration, they had the communication tools, applications, but they didn't use it quite well. And what we had to do is we had to do the evangelization work in there. We had to make it easier for them to understand that these applications and these tools were made for them to be more productive employees. So one of the things that digital transformation really helps us understand is that not only technology, not only the processes, and not only the employee, the people, are only one of them is the most important thing. It's that we use technology to make our processes better, and these are the people are the ones who are going to make the processes better with the technology. So it's a trifecta. It's a perfect trifecta that works with the three of them. So we understood that as a digital transformation professional, we went straight to the people. We went straight to the employees, and we went to their day-to-day activities, and we helped them to make them more efficient. So we sat with them and we asked them, so what do you do? What are your main processes? So this is step A, B, and C, and D. So we helped them and we taught them that with these tools, with these applications, you didn't have to do 4 steps. You only could do 2 steps. Or that with the new collaboration applications, you didn't have to travel all the time. That you could use, at the moment it was super bizarre to have video calls. Now with the pandemic, like, we have video calls all the time. Like, we are having a video call now, and it's an interview. But at the moment, it was super hard. People didn't get used to it. They lost focus at some virtual trainings. But at the moment, they saved up a lot of money because they didn't travel a lot of the time. They just had virtual meetings, and that helped them to be more efficient, spending less money doing the same processes and spending less time doing the same processes. So we went straight to the people, and we taught them how to use this technology to make their processes better.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, there were a lot of implementations that nowadays sounds like everybody used to do, but the disruption that we lived in the last couple of years was completely a big change, not just in the technology side, but in the way that we used to communicate each other. And one of the leaders, I will say the leader worldwide, especially talking about this, is Microsoft. And you had the chance to work with them almost 2 years. And more specifically in the in the cloud sales management. So we
Mhm.
are talking not just about the understanding and the usage and the implementation of cloud systems or a cloud ecosystem, but also in the sales field. So how was this change for you, especially because your background? So
Mhm.
please.
Yes, Fernando. So it was a big change because before with Google Cloud, I was only focusing on Peru, a little bit of Ecuador,
Mhm.
but with Microsoft, my responsibility grew a little bit more with 5 countries in South America. So I had to learn and I had to understand different markets, Uruguay, Ecuador, Bolivia, Paraguay, besides Peru.
Mhm.
So it was a big challenge for me, especially because the COVID-19 lockdown started at the same time.
Yes.
So everything was remote. Um, I don't want to sound petty, but for the technology side, for the technology industry, actually this horrible situation of the pandemic helped the companies
Mhm.
accelerate the digital transformation process.
Yes.
The majority of the companies agree and they accept that if it wasn't for the pandemic lockdown, they wouldn't have
Mhm.
come so far with their digital transformation process.
Absolutely.
So it was really really challenging at the beginning because there was a lot of work, a lot of business, and I started working with the partner ecosystems because now I was working with a brand, working with the cloud provider, working with the brand. You had to
Mhm.
manage the partners, you had to manage the customers, you had to understand what the partners needed at the moment, and to align our both goals in order
Mhm.
to go straight to the market, and also understand the customers, understand the industries, and being able to work with the product, like for example with let's say Power Platform. It was a new product. It was a new license that Microsoft was launching to the market at the moment, and um, it was something new that the market needed to understand and the market needed to know how to use it on their best
Mhm.
behalf. So um, we had to do a lot of evangelization because it was a new product. We had to teach the partners as well. And we had to make sure that the companies, that the customers knew that there were different, there were new ways, and most of all, there were better ways of doing the daily basis activities, daily basis process. Because Power Platform, what it did, it automatized the processes. You could create applications with low code technology. At the moment, low code was something probably new, emerging,
Mhm. Yes.
disruptive. Now, low code or no code solutions is very common. Is something that we probably use on a daily basis, and maybe we don't know. You could use applications. You could automatize processes. You could build chatbots, and you could take advantage of those tools. But the most important thing that we needed to make sure that the companies understood was
Mhm.
that the technology is not going to replace their jobs, that the professionals now have more capabilities, now have
Mhm.
more resources to make their job better, to make their daily basis work better, and that they needed to step up a little bit with their capabilities in order to use
Mhm.
better this technology.
Yeah, and when we do not have, the let's say the willingness to be flexible about the implementation of new technologies in our labor day, let's say, in the way that we structure the different processes and the different initiatives that we develop, well, at that time, maybe it's going to be a risk. But flexibility and agility provide us the opportunity to go further. So thanks about it, Rodrigo. And Well, as I already mentioned in the introduction of your interview, nowadays you are working in Huawei in as cloud partner ecosystem director. And well, you have a channel manager as a team. So if you could share us a little bit, what is your current activities in the company, and especially because you just started working in the company uh, during this year, so it's a really exciting project, and for sure a lot of to develop. So please tell us a little bit about this important step in your career.
Yes, Fernando. So, having the experiences and previous situations of working with two main cloud providers in the world, actually Huawei in Peru and in Latin America is being it has been growing a lot exponentially. We
Mhm.
are currently number three cloud provider in
Okay.
infrastructure as a service in Peru in only 3 years in the market. So the impact that we have been having in the nation in the current market is it's huge. So what Huawei wants to do is to empower technology professionals, and they want to uh, help them in becoming more efficient, in knowing that they have more opportunities in working
Mhm.
with cloud computing. So what I'm in charge of doing is to build the whole partner ecosystem, the whole
Okay.
cloud partner ecosystem, and to recruit more companies that can work with cloud computing and that they know and that they have another options of working with different cloud providers. Because what happens is that uh, when you say cloud here in Latin America or in Peru, for example, they usually think of other cloud providers. They usually think of other companies.
Mhm.
But now Huawei Cloud is making more noise here in the market. So at the beginning, we had to recruit the partners. Now some of the partners are coming to us. Some other friends or companies are calling me and saying, "Hey, Rodrigo, I really want to work with you. I really want to work with Huawei
Mhm.
Cloud because I know that the features that you bring, like the best latency, and latency means how fast is the
Mhm.
service. Because when you work with cloud, actually, like all of us, everyone, pretty much everyone in the world, or everyone who uses a smartphone or uses
Mhm.
a laptop, a computer, they are using cloud. All of
Yes.
the personal emails are probably on the cloud. If you have an email, if you use Spotify, if you use another streaming application, you're using cloud. So what we are trying to do with the companies is to help them to have more options and to be stronger
Mhm.
in the market, to be able to bring a better service with the best latency in the market, the best latency in the country, to be better prepared because of all the team and all the highly
Mhm.
qualified engineers that we have in Huawei Cloud in Peru. So besides recruiting or um, making bigger our cloud partner
Mhm.
ecosystem is to the go-to-market strategy with these partners, to go to the customers, to go to the companies, to evangelize. I think that's going to be uh, a constant in my professional career because sometimes it's something new. Sometimes I don't get it because I sometimes I can think of myself like a cloud native professional,
Mhm.
but for most of the companies, it's new. You will always find a company, you will always find a customer
Mhm.
who is learning about cloud computing, who is learning about technology, and you need to be a good teacher per se. You need to be uh, a good evangelist to make sure that they understand
Mhm.
how they can use technology on their behalf. So the go-to-market strategy is pretty specific for us, because since we have a local um, presence here, we have um, a better approach and a more direct and a closer relationship with our partners and with our customers. Daily, I go on lunches, breakfast, or meetings face to face with partners, with customers, and they feel that we are next to them, and they feel that we are there for them, and that is
Mhm.
a differentiator, and that is something that really set us apart of the competition. That
Yes.
really set us apart on the market. So my main job is to make the cloud partner ecosystem bigger and to prepare these partners for the go-to-market strategy to help the companies and to help our customers to grow more.
Absolutely, and that's a big challenge, especially as you mentioned, there are many of your customers and potential customers that maybe this kind of let's say, introduction to the cloud systems, it could be something new. So that's a big challenge, but also a big opportunity to have this kind of integration of the different industries in this ecosystem. So for sure, what you are doing is a big challenge, not just for your career, but in the digital transformation ecosystem is something that we need to be learning all the time in these continuous training processes. And just to finish, Rodrigo, if you could share to you know the upcoming digital transformation professionals a kind of idea, even something that you want to share about how to start embracing this kind of journey, will be great.
Yes, Fernando. Actually, my biggest suggestion and advice for the upcoming technology professional, digital transformation professionals is to be constant learners, to be
Mhm.
continuously learning because this never ends. It will never end.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of all of this because
Yes.
it keeps us always learning more,
Mhm.
studying, and there will be always a better way to do some things. There will be always a better option, a better solution. And we as humans, we are always looking for how to make more efficient
Mhm.
process our lives on a daily basis, on a daily activities in our lives. If we pay attention, we are going to identify a lot of opportunities of making our life better or making our life easier. And actually,
Absolutely.
technology is one of the tools that we have to make it easier. So the suggestion again is never stop learning. There are a lot of sources, there are a lot of institutions, there are a lot of ways of keep us on the continuous learning path. Actually, the MBA that I took was probably one of the best decisions that I took on my life and my professional life as well, because it helped me to maintain and to keep myself learning all the time and
Mhm.
to know and to make my perspective and my whole overview of the business and professional environment a lot bigger. And I understood that probably when I was studying on my pre-grad school, like 12 to
Mhm.
14 years ago, there were a lot of things. Probably the majority of the things that I do on my daily basis, job activities, I didn't have the chance to learn it before because it didn't
Absolutely.
exist at the time, maybe.
Mhm.
And that brings us to the conclusion that what we will be studying or what we're studying now probably in a couple of years there will be something even new there will be something even more different. So keep learning, never stop investigating, never stop learning, reading some, and be aware of the new trends that we have, all the disruptive technologies of today will be the familiar and the daily basis
Yes.
modus operandi of the next 5 years. So be prepared for that and enjoy it, because it's a fun ride actually.
Absolutely. And as you said, the minimum common variable in this conversation is about never stop changing. And that's why in the measure that we are flexible and we have the opportunity to learn new technologies, new applications of the technologies that it's also an important component of this conversation. It will give us the opportunity to be better professionals. So I want to thank you again, Rodrigo, for your time to be here, and for sure that you shared a lot about your journey in the digital transformation ecosystem. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernando. Actually, I am very pleased and I'm very thrilled to have this opportunity to talk to you. I had the great opportunity to have you as my teacher on my MBA program. I really appreciated how you brought the new perspective of digital transformation, because I have been a digital transformation professional, but I had the opportunity to have a different point of view of how the companies saw digital transformation, how they approached digital transformation, and it really shaped my career a little bit.
No, thanks for your kindly words, and for sure, this process of learning is mutual, because at the end you have been developed a lot of in the market, and it's great to have you here and to share with everybody that has the intention to go further in this digital transformation work. So thank you again, and all
Thank
the
you,
best.
Fernando. Thank you. You too.
Give us a like about this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, and see you soon.